Welcome to my Hebrew channel, Mila Baraika. I'm looking at Ruth 3, verse 15, and this verse closes out the events of the threshing floor. It does so in a very dramatic way. Great blessings here, some good things happen, and interesting things happening in this particular passage. So it's from here we move from threshing floor to the city. So let's get into the study. Have your English Bible, Standard Bible open to follow on that, and then I'll be translating, but of course my translation will be very, very literal, exactly what's there. And then if you have an app on hand, just to follow that as well. So, Vayomer, and this is an he said, masculine, prefix masculine verb here with a nice revia, opening it up and keeping this one in the milel accenting position. It's the position of the accent. The position of the revia then is milel to the top, upwards. So the front of the word is right here. Vayomer, and then he said, the antecedent or the person who's saying this is Boaz. He's the only other person at the threshing floor. So you have Vayomer, and he said, Habi, hold out. Okay, Havi is to put it out, set it out, and we're going to see a few of the. This one too is also an imperative. So this is imperative. We're going to see a couple of imperatives in a row here, and he's giving instructions as to what Ruth should be doing. And so hold out, extend, and just hold on tight. Ha mit fahat. Mit fahat is the shawl or the garment. This is the more utilitarian garment. We can compare this with what we see at the start of our passage. In the start of chapter 3, we see shimolotecha. We see the dresses, the more fancy things. And now here, at this point, we see the more utilitarian. So this is the thing that stretches out to hold things. The verbal form of it is tafat, that is to extend or to hold things out in order to gather up something. Okay, so this is what it works as a verb, and to take this verb and make it into something that holds things, you put a mem on the front of it. So this is meat with this mem, and we see something very similar to what happened with meregalim, the feet that then have a role. They have something they have to do, and so this is the walk. Let's put it that way. Where those feet are going to walk, what they have to do. They have a purpose. So hamigahafat. That's the robe, the shawl, the garment that's used for carrying things. So. Asher, which, okay, this is a relative pronoun here with a little makef on the end, joining it to the next preposition. Preposition is Allah yich, which is on top of you. Okay, so this robe apparently was something she had draped on top of her. Now she just simply has to lift it forward. And this probably explains also as well why the Mashra at the start of our chapter said the shimolotecha has to be plural, so that she would certainly be well dressed as yet under this other garment. So nothing exotic happening here. Just very keeping it very very proper. So word for it. Hamiyatecha asher alech alayech, which is on top of you. Ve Echotzi. This is a Hatev comments right here. Echotzi. Hatev comments is pronounced O, and comments, Hatev comments, and then Zion. This is a little bit hard to the Zion that's here is the same thing as the one we have here, same root incidentally. So. Strengthen it. Hold on strong. Okay, so you have it extended, habi, and hold on strong. Both of these are imperatives ending in the same hirik as we see here. This one's a little bit, the pointer has been pointing out a lot apparently, so it's a little bit worn, but ehotzi. Strengthen it. Hold on tight. Ba on it. This is then preposition on or with, and then he, the comments say, with a mapik indicates that this is a suffix pronoun, and the antecedent for the pronoun, of course, is mit fahat. That is that shawl, that robe that's there. Hold on to it. Va, and then now we have these are both imperatives. This one started as a prefix, masculine singular prefix in third person, and then we move on to the third the third person feminine prefix with the tau here. Okay, what to hetz, and then she held on tight. She strengthened that part. The chet zayin root, we find it a lot with like Heski Yahu, be strong, has quite often combined with a chet zayin kof, and so hazak, to be strong, and this is same root here. Zayin, as its base root or the base meaning for zayin often is something that is strong. Actually, originally was some kind of weapon. So, but it's a word that reflects strength here. And then she held on strongly, tightly, ba, on it, and that is again the reference to, or the antecedent of this particular pronoun is hamit fahat. So that is that robe. Yamad, and then now we saw feminine prefixed, third person feminine prefix verb here, and we move on to a masculine prefix, same as this one, vayomer, and here yamad, va ya mad. Okay, yeah. Let's see the accenting right here. Yeah, mod. Okay, close syllable. It might be a commissatuv. Anyway, va yamod. Okay, and then he measured. The word measure, we see it a lot in Ezekiel, because Ezekiel measuring all kinds of dimensions of the temple and the courts and the rooms and so forth of the temple. So, and here it's he measured shesh shorim, 6. Okay, shorim. Then we've seen this word with the katsir. Okay, katsir shorim. That is the harvest of the barley, plural form, and 6. Now we have to derive the whole concept of this being a measure from the use of the verb. Okay, and he measured. Okay, shesh shorim. In other words, he measured a measure. Okay, the author did not repeat the word measure over here, but we have to understand the word measure from the use of the verb. So if you're measuring something, you have a measure. So the yamod, okay, he measured shesh shorim. And Net Bible suggests, and I think it's pretty close, that this is about 60 pounds of grain. Quite a lot. Okay, so wow. And there's another mention at the last part of chapter 2 on the amount of grain that she gathered when she was working the first time out on the field. This is grain that she had gathered, she had beat, and she had prepared herself and put together and harvested, and also separated the grain from the chaff and so forth. And that happened to be an ephah, which about half of this, about 30 pounds there. So 30 pounds when Ruth is working by herself, 60 pounds when she's standing in front of Boaz, and okay, you're not going to return empty to your mother-in-law. It's not good. And here are the 6 measures of grain, 60 pounds. Quite a lot. If you had to say, oh, how much can, and in that day and age, in earlier years, people, and you find this from skeletal structures and so, generally smaller, generally more petite and so forth. So just visualize a gal there, maybe 5 feet tall, and having to carry 60 pounds of grain. Wow. Incidentally, we get into what happens when he walks back. You kind of ask yourself, oh, why didn't he help her? Well, it wouldn't have looked good. So, yeah, but she's certainly receiving an abundance of grain. In fact, the amount is mentioned again when she reports this to her mother-in-law. So the amount of grain is very notable for being quite a lot, as much as one small person would be able to carry. There's another interesting thing about shesh, and that is 6. This in Hebrew thought is an incomplete number. And you go, oh, not quite enough. Well, but giving Sheva would have been a little bit too much. But there is a certain sense of, oh, this number should be completed. Okay, so maybe more grain is going to come later. Of course, later on when Boaz and Ruth are married, she basically have as much grain as was available. So, but here it is, shesh shorim, 6 measures of grain, and the word measure is derived from he measured, and what did he measure? He measured 6 grains. There was no need for the author to repeat this matter of having something that's measured, so just once in is good enough. Vayamad shesh shorim va yashet, and again still the masculine prefixed noun right here with yashet, and then he set. Okay, that is he positioned. Okay, in fact, English you can do exactly the same word here. He set, shet, okay, by yashet, and then he set. Okay, positioned, put, placed. The verbal form of the adverb or adjective sham. Okay, so and then this is then a verbal form of that one. Yashet, and then he placed. Alecha, and we've seen here alech, alach yech, alayech, and here we have alecha. This is on top of you, okay, which was carried, the mantle that was, or the robe was carried on top of her, and this is the grain that then is placed on top of her, okay, al yecha, on top of her. Third person suffix pronoun here, in feminine, of her receiving then these 6 measures of grain, all bundled up inside the matecha, inside that shawl. So he put it upon her, and then we're still carrying right through with third masculine prefixed verbs, and sure enough, we hit right on here. Vayavo, and then he went, Ha'ir, to the city. This is now it seems kind of out of place because she's got a load of grain, and she's the one that really should be heading off to the city. But it's kind of interesting that our author keeps this in the masculine, and he's on his way. In other words, probably Ruth somewhat coming behind, although getting into the next verse, we're going to see right away that Ruth does arrive at the city fairly quickly, and that's the next part of the verse, and we'll see that what happens with Ruth at this point. But at this point, Yabo, that is, he goes to the city, comes to the city. And there is a reason for doing this, and that is Boaz has to be on his way. At this point, they really can't be seen together. You kind of wonder why he didn't help her carry all this grain into the city. No, he has to go and he has to accomplish something, and he has to simply leave Ruth, and Ruth is going to walk by herself to the city with her grain. And at this point, Yabo, he goes. He's a man with a mission. He has purpose now. He has to go talk to the other Goel, to the other Redeemer. Has to sort things out, a little bit of a legal understanding at city gate and so forth, and things have to be arranged so that the story can go forward. So he has a purpose, and he heads on to the city to accomplish his purpose. The Lord is a Lord of blessing, and we see this here. This is as much grain as she could carry. Wow. The Lord is gracious to us. The Lord blesses us. And we see this here in the heart of Boaz. Wow. This person has worked hard, has behaved properly, has been a really good person to have known, and now he says, okay, hold out your shawl, and we'll put as much grain in there as you can carry. This event is reported very clearly back to Naomi, and Naomi then hears exactly what happened at the threshing floor, and the story moves forward under the blessings of Boaz and under the blessings of Jehovah. Anytime we have material things that we can share them also in the name of Jehovah. So God bless. God strengthen you in this day, and if you can share with others, most certainly do so. Until the next time.